You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me, episode 120. Today is September 28, 2024. And today's guest is my new friend, Melissa. Melissa, ¿cómo estás?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing well.
So I was on Melissa's podcast about maybe like I sound Canadian now. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 weeks ago when we recorded. Yes. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
I was saying thank you so much for being on my episode.
I don't think I did you any justice. That's the lowest played video. I saw the numbers and I'm like, I don't think I did her any favors.
Man, I think I had something to do with that because we missed a big chunk of your story because I didn't get to record. I was kind of dealing with some rookie issues. So that's kind of my fault. Maybe we need to do a redo. We need to do like a part 2 to that part because we did miss a big chunk of it.
Yeah, no, this I mean don't get me wrong. This like I was in episode like 56 and I recorded a podcast. I say recorded a podcast where I had to call the guy the next day. Hey, so I didn't hit record.
Oh, so you know how it feels.
So
but I still kind of beat myself up over it.
But the sad thing is that it was already like in episode 56. So it's like, it's I'm no longer.
It happens to all of us. Even my friends have been doing this for a long time. They still have their slip-ups too.
Yeah, when I have guests over here, like my buddy Officer Ricky, who's on here multiple times. One time he saw me, kept on looking to my left, right? He kept on seeing me look to my left. And he finally asked me, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just making sure this clock is still running. If this clock is still running, that means the podcast is recording. So I know exactly how long it's been going for and all that good stuff. But I obviously I met Melissa through TikTok where I meet most of my new friends. And she was on TikTok Live. And, when you are on TikTok Live, you can type something and they get to read it. So she saw that my name said Flat Tire Podcast. So she was, hey, she got a wind of my story based on what I was typing. So she invited me on her podcast, and now here she is on mine. So go shout out your podcast name and what got you into podcasting.
Okay, so my podcast name is Real Hot Mom Shit. That's my own podcast. Why I chose Real Hot Mom Shit is because I'm just a single mom and I'm in, I don't know, I wouldn't say prime, like that kind of sounds corny, but I feel like I'm in my prime. Like my sons are kind of well grown. So it's kind of like a new life for me because now my kids are grown and it's kind of like I got that life back, So, within being a mom, of course, there's crazy dating life. And, Real Hot Mom Shit really stands for the things that we do as single moms. Like we go work out, we go out, we date. Well, not so much date, you know what I mean? But we just do, real hot mom shit. But I'm also I'm a co-host on TDM Talk. Now, TDM Talk has been around for a good while. My friend David had asked me to just come join him at, doing TDM Talk. We recently just signed for a studio. So we'll be doing podcasting pretty much kind of like full time, back-to-back days. What got me into podcasting? Definitely, I've got, so many stories. I've been through so many lives within my life. So I think I have good wisdom. I think I have, good, knowledge that I can, good testimonies that I can pass down and, maybe help somebody, just with my story because, man, I've had a tough upbringing. I had a tough teenage years. I had tough struggles with relationships while maintaining to, keep my kids, steady, stable, not steady, stable. And that wasn't easy, but that's something that I made sure no matter what chaos was going on in my life, I made sure that my kids were always stable. they never had to hesitate, whose house am I going to stay over tonight? Am I going to be able to eat? Those are kind of things my kids never had to worry about.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but yeah, so I have so many stories I could share. So that's why I started podcasting. Also, I feel like with more people sharing their stories, not only is it good for their mental health, but it's also good for somebody else because somebody else can listen to your story, which I've heard your story. And just off the back, I think me and you can like trauma bond off of our mothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt you on your story. And even, with the chaotic stuff that you went through in your relationship, I kind of, felt for you because I can see a younger Andy. I can picture, and I don't even know you like that, but I can picture a younger Andy full of rage, full of anger, full of hurt, and not knowing how to be loved right. And that taking, some consequences in your life.
I was just telling, I think it was my boys. I don't know why. I don't know what we were talking about. My 15 and 17-year-old, and the probation came up, and I said, what's funny that the last thing my probation officer told me was, so when I, obviously got convicted, I was sentenced to have 52 weeks of anger management and 52 weeks of parenting classes. Mm-hmm. And so when I finished my parenting classes, I did my anger management classes first, but I feel like I learned more on my parenting classes. Mm-hmm. But when I was finished with my parenting and the anger management classes, and I was pretty much towards the end of my probation, I paid my fines. I'm, almost done with that part of that chapter of my life. That the last thing my probation officer told me was, "Look, man, I reached out to your counselors, and it seems like that all you've ever wanted in life is a hug." And he's like, "But yeah. I'm not going to give it to you. Get the fuck out of my office. I never want to see you here again." So
no, but honestly, yesterday I was recording with my guest, that's going to be on my next episode, and he's a male, and I said, there's more males that commit suicide than there are females. And it's because they don't have that outlet. They get judged easily because they are males. Your guys are supposed to be strong. So I feel like, what you kind of building your platform, it's badass, really, because you're going to touch other, people who are going through something that's somewhat similar. And your story is going to, relate to them. And they're just going to, hopefully they can feel that story and just be like, okay, I just got to thug it out. I just got to hang in there and things are going to be okay because you never know how they're going to play out.
No, yeah, of course. Again, I've said it before that, my wife's uncle, well, my uncle now, he's the one that pushed me to do this. And he's like, dude, you have a lot of stories, man. You beat the odds, share your story. And then, so pretty much after that, I was like, okay, what else can I talk about? I'm like, this is not a podcast where we just go on here and bullshit, because I'm not a big fan of those podcasts. I recently started listening to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, and he does the same thing. Mm-hmm. Melissa, he does the same thing, but he does it with celebrities. And the episode I heard, maybe the last episode I heard, I was like, this episode, they were just bullshitting. So I didn't really learn anything from that episode. Yeah. So, and then the one I'm listening to today was, okay, that one, the guy has a story, and Michael Rosenbaum himself he was talking today about how his mom poured oatmeal in his head, and he went to school like that. And it is his mother poured oatmeal on his head. And he went to school, and he went to school like that.
Oh my
god! And then the teacher asked him, Michael, what's on your head? He was like, oatmeal. Like, that's fucked up. I mean,
that is so messed
there's things that I hear him say that I was like, holy shit, dude, that's we have a lot in common, dude. I feel like I want to meet the man now, just to shake his hand, just to give him a fucking hug.
Just to give him a hug. No, for real. I mean, can you imagine if you were to like have the proper love when you were growing up, like how much more different your life would have been?
And that's what my wife tells me, like, dude, you got to tell these boys that you love them, and I try my best. I do try my best.
just say it randomly. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And then what's gonna happen is it just becomes a habit. You know what I
exactly.
mean? And it's not so much a bad habit, like you're just saying it out of habit. No, you're saying it because you genuinely mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Let's get to know Melissa. You live in Texas. Is your whole life in Texas?
Yes, I live in Houston, Texas.
Houston,
I'm
Texas.
very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. Yes, Houston, Texas.
Educate me on the whole, because I listened to one of your podcast episodes on the
hmm
TDM Talk, where you guys are talking
hmm
about the differences between the east and the west of Houston. Is that
Yeah, so Houston is so big. Los Angeles or outside where you live is pretty big too. But Houston is very big. So you got North Side, right? We're like we joke on there, we're like, oh, we're a different breed because we are a different breed in North Side. And there's different parts of North Side. So there's like North Side is huge. It's like a big part of Houston. And then you got like South Side, you got Southeast, you got Southwest, and every like section of Houston, we're all different in some type of way. It's wild. It really is.
yeah? It's
We're
like
so diverse, though. We're so diverse.
I mean I'm originally from Oxnard, so I'm not from the I wasn't born in the LA County, but I was born in Oxnard,
hmm
and you do get that like the different like people drive by Oxnard on the 101 freeway and they're like, hey, Oxnard looks so beautiful. Nah, get
Yeah.
off the freeway and drive about 5 minutes in. You'll see a different side of Oxnard. You'll never
Yeah.
say that
So
again.
just like, what is it called? Oh, I can't think of it right now. But like whenever you're going through like states and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you're just kind of going a scenic route. There you
Scenic route,
go.
yeah.
So it's like basically they're seeing the scenic route until they get actually into the
Yeah, once they
neighborhoods.
once they get off the
Yeah.
Oxnard Boulevard and drive about 5 minutes south, you're gonna change your mind about that. Because the thing about
Yeah.
Oxnard is when you drive by it you have a
hmm
brand new Hilton, you have a brand new mall. There's a brand new like UFC training gym. There's
hmm
like these two buildings. Like it looks like a beautiful city, but once you get
Yeah.
in the city, no, that's
hmm
5 minutes in,
No.
you're good.
I
Um,
think a lot of people say that about a lot of cities because I think people say that about Chicago. I recently went to Chicago. People say that even about Los Angeles. Come on, over there they have what Skid Row. People are so terrified of it. You know what I mean? Like people say that about a lot of parts of cities, but I mean that's just how cities are. There's just poverty everywhere.
speaking
You
of
know.
speaking of Skid Row, I'm gonna say 7 years ago, maybe 7 years
Mhm.
ago, my grandmother called me and she's like, "Hey, mijo, how are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm fine, grandma. What's going on?" She's like, "Oh, I'm in town." I'm like,
Mhm.
"What do you mean you're in town?" She's like, "Oh, I'm at the." She always liked to travel in that limousine bus, and I was like, where are you at?" She's like, "I'm at the bus stop right now." So I drove an hour and a half from my house to the bus stop in
Mhm.
LA, Skid Row.
Oh, it's near Skid Row.
It's in
Yes.
Skid Row. It's in,
Oh, so
and
scary.
so I pulled in, and I found a parking spot, and there was a car across the street with the hood open, no engine. I was like,
Oh,
holy shit!
they gutted
My
it.
window had just broken, so I couldn't roll it up, and I was like, son of
Oh
a bitch.
no.
So I went inside. I
No.
went inside, and there she was, this little old lady just in the back of the fucking building. And I'm like, Grandma, what are you doing?
Yeah,
She goes,
she's crazy.
I told you not to come. I'm like, Grandma, I'm not gonna just let you sit here. What time's your bus? And she's like, well, it gets here at 5 o'clock. It was barely like 1. So
Oh, she was there super early.
yeah. So I drove her
No.
to Bowen Park, which is like maybe 15 minutes without traffic from
Mhm.
downtown. Bowen
Mhm.
Park, hometown of the very first In and Out, by the way. And
Oh, okay, okay. I like In and Out, but I'm not a fan of it. I'm gonna be honest.
yeah,
You know,
well,
we're over here. We're Whataburger.
yeah,
Okay,
I've
we're
had I've
Texas.
had Whata I've had Whataburger. The second time I
Yeah,
had it was pretty good.
I said Whataburger, but everybody pronounces it as Whataburger. But I wanted to say it proper for you.
So, so yeah, no, I just drove her to my mother-in-law's house, and they
Mhm.
they fed her, and then I drove her back to the bus stop, and
Mhm.
then but it was so scary. Like I was like, damn, grandma, what the fuck you doing
Yeah.
here by yourself, man? I dropped her off, and then I heard from her like 2 days later, and she's like, "Oh yeah, mijo, I made it home, obviously." Okay, grandma. She goes, "Yeah, my bus didn't leave till midnight." I'm like, "Oh my, yeah,
Oh my gosh, she was there since 1.
yeah,
That's so
yeah."
crazy. Oh no, I would be
So
frustrated.
yeah, Skid Row is
Yeah.
exactly what you've heard. That's what you've heard.
So there's this podcast, or I wouldn't say podcast, let me say a show on YouTube. It's called Under White Belly. You ever heard of it?
No, I'm gonna write it down
So
though.
it's a guy who literally interviews people off of Skid Row, and they're everything that you can imagine. You know, they're pimps, they're people who are hooked on drugs, people who are prostitutes, people who are homeless on there. Like, he interviews everybody. And sometimes it's like the mom has a kid and the kid even lives out there. Like, the teenage kid is out there doing what she
Damn.
has to do to make a living for her and her mom. And they're out there with a tent. That's how they live. Yeah, if you ever get some free time, watch that. It's definitely a good thing to watch, just to kind of, get like a little insight. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's some deep stories, really deep stories.
yeah. I just wrote it down. Um, I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, Frida. So your whole life you lived in Houston?
Yep, my whole life. Now, I was born in a little town called Crockett. It's about 2.5 hours from Houston, and but I've always lived in Houston. Like, I pretty much was born and then came back. You know what I mean? My mom went out there because my grandmother lived in Crockett. So I guess she thought it would be a cool thing to go out there and have us out there in the country. I don't know why. So yeah.
And then so you say your grandma. So were you raised by your grandmother?
No, I was raised by my father.
Your father.
Yeah. I was
So
raised by my father.
how was your childhood?
Yeah, what's my childhood? Yeah, I was raised by my father. So, um, man, I've been raised by my father since I can remember. You know what I mean? So my dad won custody of us. My mom wasn't in a stable situation. So my dad has a story himself. So my dad, I hope he's on my podcast pretty soon here. My dad's a recovering drug addict. And he has two daughters, which is me and my oldest sister. Whenever I was born, he decided he was gonna, go ahead and just turn himself in and get clean because he knew that we needed him.
Right.
He knew that my mom was not fit to take care of us the way we needed to be taken care of. So my dad turned himself into a rehab center. So every time I turn a new age, my dad turns a new year that he becomes sober. So currently he's celebrating 34 years sober.
Good for him.
Yeah. So he raised me and my oldest sister. We have a middle sister. My mom kept my middle sister because my middle sister is not my father's. And so um, she stayed with my mom, but for a little bit, she got to stay with us for a little bit. So whenever you were telling me your story about how you gained custody of, your oldest daughter, I felt you on that because my dad, tried to be that person for my sister. I don't really know what happened, but she ended up going back into like CPS. And so she ended up staying with my aunt after that. So really, my dad raised me and my oldest sister, which is, biologically his. And I lived with him up until about 16. I got kicked out, and then I started living with my mother. I lived with my mother up until I was about 17, and then I got my own house, my own place. Hmm.
There you go. Yeah. So
Yeah.
is there a reason why you got kicked out of your dad's?
Yeah. So, my dad, I mean, now at this point, right, I kind of like, I don't blame him for it, but I was working, so I've been working since I was 13 years old, like real talk. I really have. I was selling bootleg DVDs. At the flea market. Remember we were talking about this?
Yeah.
I was selling bootleg DVDs at the flea market. I wasn't burning them. I was just, I didn't know. Some white guy, he was like, "Hey, you know Spanish?" I'm like, "I know a little," and he was like, "Well, can you sell these, DVDs for me?" And I'm like, "Okay." So we're setting up at a flea market selling DVDs, So when I actually officially turned 16. The day after I turned 16, I had orientation at Papa John's. That was my first job. And my dad asked me when I got paid, how often I got paid, and how much I was going to contribute. And of course, me at 16, I'm like, hold up, this is my money. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't even think I got my first paycheck. And me and him had already got into an argument. Now, I was I was really giving my dad a lot of hell, like for years. I'm talking about my dad was like threatening me to like go to all year round schools. I was always getting in fights. I was just always getting in trouble. Like I really was.
You sound
So
like my
he
daughter.
kind
You sound like
yeah,
my
no,
daughter.
yeah, he literally had to go through it all with me. My oldest sister, I want to say, like, I always say, like, maybe she's like the golden child because she did everything perfect. Like, she went through school, mastered high school and like high GPA versus me, like, barely even making it through, And she went to Ivy League college. She graduated. She got married. She waited to have kids. And then there's me. You know what I mean? And then there's me. And so I felt like I did everything. Like I rebelled against him a lot. So he was just like over this shit with me. And he was like, cool, you don't want to distribute to this house? Then you're gone. Like go ahead and you got one basket to fill up and that's it. You got to go with your mom. And so literally, and I was pretty well taken care of with my dad. I had like over 50 pairs of Jordans. You know what I mean? I couldn't even take none of that. I had a computer. I was doing, drugs, and my dad's a drug counselor. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I was smoking and drinking and partying, and I was doing too much too fast. And my dad was like, "Nah, you got to go." So yeah, that's the reason why he kicked me out.
And this was at 16.
This was at 16. Yes.
Well, I mean, my daughter drove me crazy, but she didn't drive me that crazy. So.
Yeah, no, I literally put my dad through the ringer. I mean, I was getting in fights, and mind you, like my dad's a single dad. He's working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
My dad worked 2 jobs for the longest, and I can understand like now at this point, like, yo, he wasn't trying to deal with that shit because whenever my kids don't really get into problems, but if their grades are low or something may happen, I'm like, I work too hard. Like, all you got to do is go to school and do good. Like,
Right.
that's all I expect from you. So
Yeah.
I get it, now as an adult from my father. But of course, I kind of took a toll and that kind of made me spiral out in other areas. So yeah, I spiraled out. I had kids. I got pregnant at 16. Pretty much whenever I went to live at my mom's house, I even went crazier and got pregnant,
They do say that the dads have a little bit more of rules to follow.
A little bit more. I gave more, I guess you could say I gave more respect to my dad because I was the person who was raising me, who was doing stuff for me, who was buying me stuff versus the person who, in my eyes, didn't give a fuck. Like, she'd rather go out and live her motherfucking life than to take care of some kids, That's how I saw it, you know what I mean, at that age. Of course, I see things a little bit more different. I think I'm a little bit more humble, Life has definitely taught me some things, so I don't hold a grudge against my mother. You know what I mean? Did I before? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I rebelled in that shit.
So when did your dad get custody of you guys or of you? Like, how old were you?
So he got custody of us. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really know like the year. I know, like, they officially got divorced, like, on my first birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, like, I literally had saw the paperwork. I was like, so this is what y'all guys were doing on my first birthday? Like, okay, you know what I mean? I don't really know when he got custody of us. I know I was really young. I was like infant age.
oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I was super young. And we lived with my dad and my grandmother and my oldest. So me and my older sister are 8 years apart from each other. So that's like a big gap. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like by the time I was like, a teenager, she was well out the house. You know. So yeah. So yeah, my dad raised me pretty much by himself with my grandmother. My grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's. So it was really on my dad, like, to raise me. So for him to have to go through his mom passed away from Alzheimer's, me rebelling, and then like in his eyes, the bullshitty ass baby mama, like he was just going through it.
yeah.
He was tired. He was tired. It's like, fuck, I can't control you. Like I can't do this all.
Right. Yeah. No,
Hmm.
I believe my son was 11 months old when I finally decided to leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wasn't even a year yet, and when like this is enough, I can't do this anymore. But
Yeah.
so I mean, I know in the state of California they don't really give full custody to the dads unless the mom is a really piece of work. I
Yeah.
have a feeling your mom was a piece of work. No disrespect.
I mean, yeah, she was. She was. I think now that I'm an adult and I analyze the situation, my mom was trying to find love
In all the
in all
wrong
the wrong
places.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was trying to chase to get that complete family again because she felt like she lost it all.
Yeah.
And she kept losing it all. And she didn't know how to get that shit back. And part of her wanted to be out there to like meet that perfect person. So she was always out. She was obviously out there, and she met somebody and she tried to settle down with him, and it just wasn't the right person because one, he didn't love us. Two, he didn't do good by us. You know what I mean? Like at all. And so then after that, like shit happened. My dad didn't let us go over there no more. My sister got put up in, CPS. So definitely for just that, you can already know like it wasn't good. Like yeah, she was not a good parent. So at first I would rebel and I was so angry because I'm like, what kind of mom can do that shit? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm thankful.
Right.
I'm thankful I was in my father's household that more shit didn't happen to me. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah, cause you
The worst of the worst could have happened to me and it didn't
yeah.
because I live with my dad. So in some kind of way, my dad's my hero.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
good. I got a phone call from my daughter, was it like maybe about a month ago, and she was like, "Dad,
Hmm.
I didn't speak to her for almost 3 years, and then she finally started coming around back in this past March, and then she
Hmm.
called me the other day. She was like maybe like a month ago, and she was just venting, "Dad, you were right. Dad, you were right.
Yeah.
I was just too stubborn, and once you said you can go with your moms, I was only bluffing, but I didn't really want to, but you know how we are, and
Yeah.
so she's going through it, and she sees
Yeah.
the struggles, and I'm like, but it sucks because I won't be the one to say, come home,
Yeah.
because she did put us through some shit. She put us through hell, and she had no respect for me towards the end, and then
Yeah.
when I had to get in her face and start yelling at her, I was like, that's when I'm
Yeah.
like, this kid's gonna give me a fucking heart attack. She's gonna give me
Yeah.
a heart attack. But now, like you said, as an adult, you see things, and now that she's barely,
Yeah.
20, going to be 21, now she realizes, okay, maybe I
Oh,
wasn't.
I was tough on my parents. I mean, there were times I was getting in their faces. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I was, talking so much mess and being that disrespectful as kids. I
yeah,
was so disrespectful. And like I said, life humbled me though. That's why now I can reflect back on it. Now I think about it. I don't regret nothing because you know what? that's basically who I am today because I had to go through some deep
Yeah.
shit. I had to learn shit, a lot of my shit. Like I had to pretty much raise myself. You know what I mean? So I kind of like had to teach myself, self heal myself, everything by myself.
Yeah.
So
And then
um,
you were a baby having babies. So
yeah. I just recently had a talk with my friends about because they're about to be 18 on Halloween, and I was like, okay, so when y'all guys turn 18, like what happened? Like, like we're sitting here, we're talking, and me and my sons, we have such a good relationship. Like, it don't matter what day it is. We could all be tired, be 11 o'clock at night, and we're just all sitting down in the living room, just on our phones, just next to each other, just talking to each other, just about random things or whatever. And I'm talking to them, and I was like, y'all realize y'all guys have been in my life pretty much all my life since I was 16.
yeah.
Like, what happens? Y'all guys just like, y'all have to go? Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, y'all guys, because one of my sons is going to go to college. So I'm like, I can't picture my life without him. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I can't picture my life without any of them. Like, they're really going to be 18 and like really be their own self and be their own man. And it's like, wow, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yes, but yes, at 16, I was a baby having babies. And did I know what I was doing? No. But I knew one thing for sure, that was I wasn't gonna fail them. I wasn't gonna like let them go through the same shit I had to go through. And for sure, I never wanted them to feel the struggles, or I never wanted them to feel alone like I did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, trust me, I am the same way. I don't want my boys to, well, my kids, all three of them, I didn't want them to go through what I went through,
Yeah.
and that's why I have, like, I keep everything, like for example, I'm not trying to be rude to anybody or trying to sound like I'm better than everybody than other people,
Yeah.
but the way I see it in life, the older you get, the better in life you need to be. And
Hmm.
when I see people that are trying to, try to climb that ladder, trying to be better, but then they're not. They're only going backwards.
Hmm.
It's like it sucks because I can't feel sorry for them because it's like you're making your own bed, that you're putting yourself in that position. And I mean, I have two friends that they lost their kids. They got their kids taken away, ended up in foster home. There's one that she never got to take care of one of her kids, and it's like we gotta. I don't feel, I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for you. Like
Yeah.
like you need to better
It's hard
yourself.
for you to feel sorry for her because your story, your
Hmm.
journey. Like, what the fuck you had to go through.
So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
no, no, yeah, no, it's fine. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I just keep moving forward, and like I said, the boys, I got to the point where at one point I said I can't do this anymore. Like I can't even buy my son a pack of gum. So now I just, I told myself that I would never say I can't afford it. Now, when they ask for something, I just say, have you earned it? I've always said that. Have you
Yeah.
earned it? And, but yeah, no, everything I did and everything I do in life is for them. And when my bosses came over one day, because it
Mhm.
was during COVID and I won the employee of the year. That's what that big fake check
Mhm.
is for right there. And,
Mhm.
they wrote on their little message board that says Andres has made it very well known that everything he does for his kids. So that's in the little speech
Oh,
thing that he
I love
wrote.
that. Yeah.
And yeah,
That's
no,
dope.
I just, like, sometimes I try to talk, like I talk to my boys, and it's like I tell them, like, no offense to anybody, McDonald's is not a job, it's not a career. It may be for some people, and
Mhm.
that's, but I told them that I don't want them to work in retail or in fast food. I want them to work in something they're going to want to do, because I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes do I want to be lift. I love what I do, but sometimes lifting heavy cases of beer can get a little pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The goal is to work smarter, not harder.
so I want them to
Mhm.
go to school, and so they don't. And I always
Mhm.
tell them, I don't want you guys doing what I do. I don't, like, even one day I was at Walmart,
Mhm.
and I was feeling the tides and the bleach and everything, right? And
Yeah.
this little boy, he had to have been like 5 years old. Oops, he had to have been like 5 years old, and he told his mom, because he saw that I was like having a good time, right?
Mhm.
He told his mom, I want to do what he's doing. I looked at the kid straight in the eye and I said, no, you don't. Stay
Yeah.
in school. Stay in
Mhm.
school. And
Yeah.
and he was like,
Because it is labor.
it was
You
like
have to do a lot.
he was like 5. Like yesterday, I was leaning down to do something real quick for like 10 minutes, and my back was like, oh fuck this. Yeah, no, I can't be doing this anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, everything,
No,
like I
I don't
said,
blame you.
everything I do for my kids to better their lives and stuff, to give them what I never had. Like I said, for example,
Yeah.
this room, you know what I mean. It's like I have a room just dedicated to the podcast.
Yeah.
And
That's
they
awesome.
you know, like right my today my I mean, I'm sorry, on Thursday, my son, he gave me a piece of paper. He's like, Dad, can you have your work, sign this paper, because he did community service, and
Mhm.
he's trying to sign all his like scholarships and everything, like trying to get scholarships,
Yeah.
because he is motivated to get scholarships. I did not hesitate to drive
Yeah.
out of my way all the way to my office
Yeah.
in 20 minutes away to go get this paper signed, and then to drive back in traffic. So he wants to go to school, and I want him to go to school, because that's not something
Yeah.
I was able to do. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I went off topic, but yeah, I everything I do is
Mhm.
for them kids.
No,
Um,
I feel you on that. My son, my oldest sons, they're twins. One of them actually has been getting accepted to colleges. He's really
nice,
smart. So
nice.
yeah, and he's applying for college. One time I had got after them and he was like, Mom, you don't realize I'm taking all these classes just for you. I'm going to college. I'm applying for scholarships just for you because I don't want you to ever feel like your hard work is not like, appreciated because
Right,
it is. And all I had to do was get good grades and get an opportunity, a job, like you're setting it up for us.
right,
Hmm.
right. So what were you going through when you found out you were pregnant?
I was going through a lot at that time because I didn't want to be with their dad. I didn't. Like their dad definitely wasn't somebody I wanted to be with. I was in a relationship with him for over a year, but it was one of those like young relationships, and I was so worried about like making my own money. I wasn't focused on like yeah, I was having fun, but I wasn't focused on being in a relationship like that. So whenever, because I was still partying, I was out, like, even though I was 16, I was up to no good. Well, whenever I was younger. I mean, I had my first tattoo when I was 13. So, think about that. Yeah. So I was definitely up to no good really soon, really early. And so at 16, I was like more even focused on like partying and having money and partying. And when I got pregnant, I think it was just kind of God's way of being like, yo, you need to slow down.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
this
because
is your way to
he
slow
gave you
down.
two. He gave you
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, too. My mom's a twin.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm the first one to have boy twins in my family.
Oh, okay.
Everybody was girl twins in my family. So I had like maybe 3 sets of twins in my family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're very fertile over here. Very fertile. My grandmother had 13 kids.
Wow.
I think her mom had 16. So yeah, we populate like roaches over here.
Is
Yes.
that
So
Houston
yes,
water?
it's like Houston water. Yes. Yes. But yeah, I mean, it was just very even whenever they put the babies in my hand, I was just like, I can't believe this is my life right now. It was so unreal to me until it became real.
Yeah.
And yeah, shit got real quick.
Reality check
Hmm.
hit you right smack in the face.
Reality check, because
Yeah.
I was crying because I didn't want to be with this guy. I did not want to be with him. And I was like I was like, I have to carry two babies around, not just one, two.
Two.
And you can only imagine, I still went to high school and I looked like a whole zoo animal. I looked so exotic because they're like, wow, I was so tiny. I'm 4'11".
Yeah.
So I'm short. And then I was like the most skinniest little thing ever. I played sports and boom, I have this big old basketball like in my stomach, and it got so bad because again, I'm tiny, they're huge. It got so bad where I had to be home rested because they would sleep on a nerve in my leg. So I
Uh-huh.
couldn't even go to high school anymore because I was like literally dragging my leg around
No
because
shit.
they would sit on, yeah, they would sit or they would lay on that nerve. So I was homeschooled for maybe like the last 4 months of my pregnancy. I was always high risk. So it was so many things I was like going through mentally at that point because here I am pregnant. Well, not just one, but two. I'm getting, seen all the time because I'm at high risk. And then even at some point, one of the doctors was like, well, we tested you and you're going to have some kind of your babies are going to have some kind of defect. They were supposed to be born with like this hole in their spine. Basically, they weren't even supposed to be walking.
What the fuck?
And they wanted to put this big old needle in my stomach to like get some of the, the, what's it called? It's the sack water. I forgot what it's called. Um, so they wanted to do that, but I was like, no, like I'm a terrified needles first off. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
So, yeah, being at 16, I didn't know, what the heck I was doing. I didn't know anything really about pregnancy. Nobody really walked me through it. I played,
Wait. I had to stop you right there. At 16, you were afraid of needles. But at
I'm still
13,
afraid.
but at
Oh
13, you
yeah,
got a
yeah.
tattoo?
Tattoos. Yeah, I know people say that all the time, but I feel like tattoo needles and like getting an actual like needle, like blood taken out,
Yeah.
are two different things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still turn around when they freaking do blood. Just don't, just
Yeah,
hurry up.
no, I'm such a chick. I don't even like it whenever I go to the eye doctor and they do that little eye test with the air. Oh no, I'm like, no, I'll pass on it. They're like, ma'am, you can have glaucoma. I'm like, okay, well that's the way I'm gonna die. Like that's just the way I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
that's
kidding. But
crazy.
I don't want it. I don't want that to happen.
So,
Hmm.
okay, so you got pregnant and I mean, you said you didn't want to be with their dad, so, but did you guys at least
Yeah.
try or you just went solo from the
Yeah.
moment you were,
Yeah. I lived with him for maybe a good 6 months. He didn't live in a good situation. He's brought up from really like deep south San Luis Potosí Mexican parents, you know what I mean? And they were living in some little house. It was literally one bedroom house. And like there was no privacy. There was no room door in between the room. They had to go through our room to get to the kitchen. And the restroom didn't have running hot water. We had to like boil water, take a shower in the bath. And they still live like that. I don't know. But I'm just like, yeah, no, that didn't work out. I thought I wanted to live with him because obviously I think that's the right thing you're supposed to do, right?
right?
But I figured out quick that's not what I wanted, and that's not who I wanted to be with. And so, I decided quick I didn't want to live with him. So I went back to my mom's house, lived with my mom for a good while. I've always had a job. I've always I went to high school. I still went to school, finished, got my diploma, while working. So I still work. And, real quick, my sons were about 2 and I met my youngest son's dad. Well, I knew him in high school, but I never talked to him or anything like that. But it's so crazy. One day, I was working, and by this time, I was already graduated. His mom came in very ritually, like all the time. And
Right.
I just like made good conversation with his mom. And one day she showed me his picture, and I was like, "Oh, I went to high school with him." And then she brought him to the restaurant. We started talking, and next thing you know it, like I was with him. So he helped me raise my son since they were like 2. And so I was married to him for about 12, 13 years. Yeah.
Well,
So then, then we got divorced. You know what I mean? We got divorced. So I mean, I kind of grew up with him. You know what I mean? I grew up, but I also had his help to help raise my sons, all three of them. I had 3 kids by the age of 21.
right. Yeah, yeah. I was doing the math right now in my head,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
13 years. That means you guys recently divorced. A year or
Yeah,
two?
recently, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know what? 12, I think it's 12 years. I'm sorry. I think I do get it mixed up. 12 years married. We got divorced, like officially, legally divorced because remember the pandemic happened. So like a lot of courts, a lot of things were not open.
Right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? They were not open. And it was so much harder to get divorced back then because of that. So uh, I think we officially got divorced in 2021. So, but we've been separated since 2020. So it's been about 4 years. Hmm.
Was it a nasty divorce or
It wasn't so much of a nasty divorce. It was, yeah, it was. It was a nasty divorce. It was. I was like, it's not so much, but like when I sit there and look back at it, like it was. He was obviously hurt. You know, I was hurt. Like it was two hurt people dealing with each other.
yeah.
We still don't talk now. He refuses to talk to me. Which is whatever. I don't care. I tell him like you just gotta move on from shit. Like I don't even know. Like it should be me holding the grudge. He was not faithful at all, and so I just decided, you know what, fuck that. I do too much things for
Yeah.
your ass to not be faithful. Like all he had to do was go to work, come home, and bills were paid, food was made. We had 2 houses built from the ground up. Always had brand new cars fresh off the lot, and that's because me. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, not so much me, like he obviously worked and helped provide, but like I built this up, you know what I mean? I built
Yeah.
this up, and it's like for you to, and I have a whole career, like I have a whole career, and he was not loyal to me, to girls who are working at like Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, stuff like that, and it's like why,
Yeah.
like why? But I mean, I now again looking back at it, he didn't really get to live his life either. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like he was rebelling in certain areas because he hadn't grown. You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't experience life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how I don't hold no grudge against him. I'm not angry over the situation. I let people do them. I don't judge people. Because in reality, my kids are not suffering. We're good. We're all good. You know what I mean? If he chooses not to be a part of his son's life, then that's really on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not missing nothing here. You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I'm kind of like the same mentality. Like I mean, I've been not divorced because I never married her, but I've been
Mhm.
no longer with this person for over 14 years, and to this day I've tried and we still can't get along.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like
You can't because she's gonna always be miserable. Yeah.
my daughter
And she's
was
never gonna forgive you for taking away her kids, even though she knows that she was not fit for it.
yeah,
Because my mother
my daughter's
holds a
well,
grudge against my dad because of
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, the same. My
Mm.
daughter, she came, she starts talking to me, and then 1 month she just doesn't talk to me for like a whole month, and like out of nowhere, and like what the hell? And then because oh well, mom told me you said this, mom told me you
Mhm.
said, I thought we were past this bullshit. I thought we were
Mhm.
past this bullshit. So, um,
Nope.
no, I'm not, like I said, I'm not missing much. The boys don't need, like, everyone always asks me, you didn't book her for child support? Nah, what for? We don't need it.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
Yeah.
They're good. They see, like I said, your
I
son's
mean, that's amazing that you didn't. You know what I mean? Like usually, like my dad still collected. He was like, "Nah, she about to help." And like my dad, like when we were younger, I couldn't understand it. Like, why would you put a woman on child support? That made no
Yeah.
sense. But at the end of the day, why would a woman put a man on child support? Because they need help supporting that kid,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I never. Everybody always told me. My friends would tell me, "Dude, come on, what the fuck? Think about it, dude. You get extra." Nah, nah, because I know what it felt like when she. Every time I got a new job, or every time I got a promotion, or it was like
Mhm.
child support's calling. You're making more money,
Yeah.
and so I knew how many times I had to go to court. And knowing her track record, I would probably go to court more to have her payments reduced because she's not working or she's not. So why go
Yeah.
through that years of child support court hearings? I mean, like I said a long time ago, I don't need her food stamps. You know, I, I don't need them. So I never got her for child support. Now the boys are old enough and they're like, we tell my wife and we tell them like whatever she says she's gonna buy you guys, don't be shy, take it.
Yeah.
My son wanted some vinyls and she bought it. My other one wanted like B-Bucks for for his freaking Fortnite. She bought it, and
Yeah.
they're the kind of people that if you take them out for the day and you ask them, hey, where do you want to go eat somewhere, whatever, they're like, no, it's okay, no, it's okay. They don't want you spending money, and
Yeah.
but when it comes to their mom, I told them, dude, she hasn't supported you guys in the last 10 years. So if she's offering to buy you something, don't be shy.
Yeah.
Don't be. They'll come home. Dad, we bought you a
Yeah.
bag of gummy bears. Dad, we bought you a bag of Doritos. Dad, we bought you a
Mm.
soda. Dad, we bought you this.
That's
I'm
dope.
like, you guys bought me
Mhm.
that, or did she buy me that? Well,
Yeah.
she bought it, but she knew who it was going for. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
let's
That's
go.
cool.
So yeah, whatever. I'll take
Yeah.
it.
No, it's cool that they think about you though.
I'll
That I
take
mean
it.
that shows their love towards you for
Yeah.
sure.
So
Mhm.
I think one day she bought something and she knew
Mhm.
who it was for, and it wasn't for me. It was for my wife. So
Mm.
I'm like, you guys are being fucked up now. And I said, están pasando cabrones. They're like, she didn't know. Okay. All right, cool. So earlier you said when you were talking about your ex-husband, how dinner was ready when he got home.
Mhm.
Um, what caught my attention was dinner was ready. Um, because of your hot sauce.
Oh yeah.
How did you get into the like? Okay, so listeners, my understanding, she makes a killer hot sauce or salsa.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
what got you into that? What was it? The COVID? Was it the COVID? Was it COVID or what? Just I because you're a
Yeah.
hustler. I mean, what
I
got you into making
am.
your hot sauce?
So I've always loved to have like parties, right? Like again, I told you I was a party girl. So when I had kids, it was more like, okay, let's have house parties, let's have barbecues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So every time we have barbecues, I've always made like my salsas, kind of like an appetizer, like put it in the middle of the table, have everybody eat it. Everybody had loved my salsa. So yes, when the pandemic hit, I think it kind of inspired a lot of people to be their own entrepreneur because obviously people were getting let go from their jobs. People had to figure it out. They had to learn how to make money because, things were, bills were still coming. And even after those stimulus checks, even after some people got unemployment, it just, they had to get another job. They had to figure it out. So, me going through the pandemic plus going through a divorce, um, I kind of needed the extra money. And I've always had a career since I was, I think since I was like 19. I've always worked in the logistics industry. So I've been fortunate to have a career. But unfortunately, at that time, because we were working from home because of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't making my full potential like income that I needed to. I mean, I had just signed for a house. Literally, I had bought a house in 2019. Me and him got divorced or separated in 2020. And right in the middle of the pandemic, so I had to figure it out. So, I mean, I know how to cook. I went to culinary school for a little bit. Didn't really get to finish that because when I sat there and thought about it, I'm like, I can't do culinary school and raise kids. Like,
Right.
or I can't work in the restaurant business, work myself up to be this top chef with kids, because restaurant businesses, they run pretty much from time, breakfast time to, dinner time. And I needed to be there for my kids. So, I knew like I wanted a food truck, but like that's not something I could have done overnight, especially by myself. There's so much capital that goes into that, so many licenses and permits that you got to get before even getting a restaurant or anything. So I figured I would like jar up my salsa and give that a try. Give that a try and see if I can get anywhere with it. So yeah, I started doing pop-ups, and I created my salsa called Huston Drip Sauce, which is a creamy jalapeno cilantro hint salsa. It's a homemade salsa. It's family recipe. Only me and one of my kids knows the recipe. The other sons do not know. And honestly, they don't really care to know either. They're just like, that's y'all's thing. Most parents want to leave a house or something behind for their kids to remember. I want to leave residual pay for my kids.
Right.
So that's me setting up a residual pay of like, revenue of like, money. So my kid doesn't really have to worry about that, if I could take that one thing for my sons is, I don't want them to like have to work as hard as I have to work. Right. But let me tell you, my kids are hard workers. Yeah. Like I say that, but I just got it after their butts, because I'm like, you don't have to work that hard. Like, let me take that off of you. I want to be able to take that stress off of you. And they're like, Mom, what are we going to do? Sit at home? Like, do you sit at home? And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, so why do you expect us to? At least we're not getting into trouble or making money. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Well, because you do the hot sauce, right? And then you have a full-time job, right? Mm-hmm. And then you are making your podcast you're trying to make it a also an income that you actually have traveled to go record episodes. Like you said, you were just in Chicago, and I think you were episode 4. You were in El Salvador. Mm-hmm. And I told you the other day you're looking into an apartment, and I was like, don't spend money, don't lose money on a podcast. But like a studio. But like you told me, was that you do it as a hobby. I actually want to make this, an income. I'm like, oh, in that case, I get what you're saying. Cause
I definitely want to turn. If I could, if I can use my podcast as a platform to heal and to, potentially go other ways with it, I want to, you know what I mean? So, I want to be able to be a full-time entrepreneur in all kinds of ways. I have other ideas. Of course, it's just the funding that's really just holding me back, because, being a single mom, most single moms, when they have extra money, they're getting their nails done, they're getting this done, they're getting that done. Me, on the other hand, when I have extra money, I'm putting it into my business. Right. I'm trying to invest that, make those sacrifices, because I know later on in life, it's going to get me where I need to be. Right. And I'm real strong in faith. And so I really feel like, if he's giving me the resources, he's giving me the ability, he's giving me the discipline, the strength, then, and I have the idea, then it's on me now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real good. Like I said, I mean, you, like I said, you have a full-time job, you have this salsa, you have your podcast. So if, the salsa, when do you, like, you sell it? Is it how do you sell it? How do you make money off of that?
Yeah. So, here in Houston, I just sell it locally. I haven't really, and this is me. This is kind of like me, just not putting more dedication to it, to be completely honest with you. I haven't figured out how to ship it within the States, but it's really not that hard. I need to just like go ahead and like do the research real quick and get it like done. But right now I sell it locally, and we do pop-up markets here, right? So like everybody with their own little tents selling their own products in these like farmer markets. So basically that's what we do. So I started off by doing that and joining other people's markets, and I haven't won, I'm sorry. I've met so many people doing that, and I've been so successful at selling my salsa that way. People tell me, and it's so crazy to like even think about it, but they're like, it's not just the salsa. Like you sell the salsa. Like it's you. It's your vibe. It's who you are. It makes people intrigued to even try it, and I believe that. So, I'll be out there selling my salsa. I sell it by the jars, or I also sell it by the gallons. Currently, it's in 2 food trucks, and I still do pop-up markets. But what I've learned is to host. I'm very more successful at hosting events here in Houston, hosting these pop-up markets. So I love Houston, and I host events here in Houston, and I've had a really big two big old successful events for the most iconic day here in Houston, which is considered 713 Day. It's July 13th, and 713 Day is like our zip code, our area code. I'm sorry, our phone area code. That's like the most original area code, 713. So July 13th, we celebrate like Houston Culture Day, and I've been really successful at like hosting those. I was on Houston Chronicle, which is the Houston newspaper here. I was on another magazine called The Voyage magazine. I've been on The Voyage twice. I've been on Houston Chronicle once, and I've also been on other newspapers here locally as well. Just hosting my events and selling my chip sauce. So that's kind of how I got started. That's kind of what I still do. On the weekends, I'll make deliveries and I'll go drop off, depending on how much they order. It's football season, so I am making deliveries, making my rounds.
Yeah.
So that way people can enjoy my salsa with their family. That's the goal.
I'm gonna hit you. You sound just like the lady that started the Buzzballs.
Yeah, the
Similar
Buzzball?
story.
For real?
Yeah, similar.
I've never seen that.
I just met her 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And she's pretty much same idea. Was gonna get a divorce. So she liked to make these drinks, and then just she went and got a loan, and then
That's
now you
awesome.
see how popular that stuff is. So you have the same. So what you got to do is you got to put your hot sauce in these little tiny balls.
Yeah, right. And just so they can check that.
Right?
Take it to the head.
Yeah.
No,
No,
yeah.
that's real good. Like I said, that's real cool. I mean, you don't really hear much. I'm sure there's stories out there, but you don't really hear them a lot. Like I said, like you are a dedicated worker. You do what you got to do for your kids, and to not let COVID bring you down, and you made this, you made a business out of your salsa and stuff. I mean, all I did was freaking do a podcast, that doesn't give me shit.
I mean, I was doing other stuff. I was also a travel agent, a notary. I was flipping storages. I mean, I've done a lot, just to kind of make some money. One thing for sure, I've never disrespected my body to make money. I've always tried to set it somewhat of a good example, for my children, and show them that hustle. And it's crazy because their dads have none of that hustle.
Yeah.
So for them to see their mom with that hustle, I think it's different for them. They see it different. They just see it as, wow, my mom's a whole woman, like getting it. I've DoorDash too. I mean, now we all gotta start off somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I see you do as much as you can with your boys. Besides, having technically three jobs. I saw one of your photos recently that you brought them to L.A. You brought them to, out of all places, El Pino from Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, I did.
That was like what? So what made you like? Did you guys decide, hey, we're gonna be in L.A. Let's go to El Pino, or?
Yeah, well, me and one of my friends, her name is Yvette. Me and her went to LA one time together, and I don't know if it was the gardening that we were doing, but man, the moment we touched down, it was such a vibe. Like, it was an unreal vibe that we felt instantly. And I love LA. Like, if I could ever move to another city, it would definitely be that city. And I've been all over, and LA has my heart. So we wanted to share that city with our kids. And it was so crazy because one day I was like, girl, I found tickets for $50 round trip per person. She's like, let's
What?
book. Yeah,
Damn.
so we literally booked. So she has 4 children. I have 3. So we just got us an Airbnb. We shared an Airbnb, and we shared a rental, and we took the kids to LA, and we just, it was like in the middle of the week, so we did like the bare minimum out there. Like we took them to the museum, we took them to like a market out there, we took them to like to do a handful of things, and our kids loved it. Like that was like our kids' first plane ride. No, it wasn't my kids; it was her kids. But yeah, we just wanted to take them to LA so they can experience like kind of what we experienced, like the love for LA, and they liked it. They loved it. They say the same thing, that it was such a vibe there. And I was like, yes, I want to go to like Northern California too one day.
Where?
Northern, like
Oh, up
the
north.
north,
Up north.
yeah,
Yeah.
like by San Francisco.
Yeah, I haven't taken my kids up that north, that high, but yeah.
No,
No, but we have taken them to Cancun and we've taken them to Nueva Vallarta. So
oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah,
I've never vacationed like that. My idea of vacation was going camping, setting some tents on the
yeah.
ground, air mattresses.
Oh, I bet you guys have some really nice camping grounds out there.
There is one in Ventura County, it's in Ojai.
Hmm.
It's Lake Casitas. The lake is, I mean, the lake wasn't. The last time we went, it was no longer a lake. It was more of a puddle. But they have a water
Mm,
park in there, so the kids love going to the water
yeah.
park there. But yeah, California
Mm.
has some nice spots. I do see some photos that are like down the street of waterfalls and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, that's just like down the street. But yeah, I tripped out because, like I said, I saw that. You guys came to LA and you went to El Pino. I recently went to. I don't live
Mhm.
that far from where they filmed Back to the Future and
Mhm.
the mall that they filmed it in. And
Mhm.
my kids are like, we went over there. My mother-in-law's like, well, where did Andy take the kids? He went to a museum. They're like, no, mom. Movie scenes, movie filming locations are Andy's museums. So that's what it
You're
was.
like, they were right here.
Yeah, they were right here. And but yeah, anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to share? I mean, I don't have a limit on
You
this.
tell me, sir. I don't know. Anything else you want to know about me? I think I've been very open, so
Yeah, no, no,
whatever.
no. Yeah, I think I hit like some of the bullet points. I mean, I don't want to
Yeah.
touch back on I mean, you talked about your mom, you talked about your dad,
Mhm.
your kids, your baby's daddies. I mean, you are
Mhm.
I heard your podcast with when you were on the guest on one of the podcasts that you were, on, and I was like, I've heard more on this lady that she could have spoken more. Like there was way more she could have talked about. And now right now I'm like, so is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah. I know. I was telling my guest last night. I was like, I think I need to like be doing 2 podcasts a week because I need to drop one maybe just with content just myself, and then content with my guests
Yeah,
because I have guests booked all the way out to November. So I'm just
right.
like, maybe I should like pull back and say something to like do something myself. So I guess you get to know me a little bit more. But also, I'm having fun. Like I'm just having fun. I'm just going with the flow. Um, I like I said, I just signed for a new studio. It's at an art studio. The woman that actually like runs it, she's a big advocate for like the Chicana community here in Houston, and she works a lot with the city. And man, she's worked herself up from like zero to where she's at now, and I feel like she's gonna provide me so much guidance when it comes down to like the legalization of a lot of things that I want to do and a lot of the funding that I need. I feel like she's going to guide me the right way. And it's one of those things where I pray, I pray that God aligns me with the right people on my path. And I feel like he's doing his thing on this one. And so definitely, I got a lot of things in store with me having my own space. I think I'm gonna be able to create a little bit more of what I want to do.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like you told me the other day, you actually want to make your podcast like a thing. I'm just
yeah.
doing it as a hobby. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, you said you wanted to do big things with your
Yeah, I
podcast.
mean, it would be nice for it to be a bigger platform for me to be able to monetize on that because that's the goal, right? I don't want to just be talking just to talk. I mean, right now I'm just doing it for fun, but now fun is turning into like, okay, everything I'm doing is the whole tax write off, So like, I need to make sure I can do this legit. So there's the business behind it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be making merch here pretty soon for all the hot dads and all the hot moms. So I definitely gotta send you one out there. Gotta send both you and your wife one so y'all guys can rock a shirt for us.
Right.
Yes, so she can wear hot mom, you can wear hot
We
dad.
both walk. We go matching shirts to church. Ah.
Ah, there you
What do
go.
you mean?
Right? They're like, ¿qué es eso?
¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso?
But yeah, so I do. I have some goals there. So I hope God sees me through them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, that's, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I really don't have much to say. I do ask my guest. Like I said, if I'm not gonna repeat myself. But if you're, how old is your youngest? 12?
My youngest is 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your boys are 18. They can listen to this. I mean, they're gonna be 18 soon, and then your son's
Mm-hmm.
14. But if you want to make this like a time capsule, and your
Mm-hmm.
boys were to listen to this episode in 15 years from now, what would you tell them? What advice can you give them? You know, yeah, pretty much. What advice can you give them that they'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
or what message would you have for them, like where they're like, oh shit, that's right, my mom did take us to El Pino or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I definitely have taken my kids on quite a few vacations other than just LA. I've taken them to Disney. I've taken them to Universal twice. I made sure my kids had a good childhood. Um, I think if they were to watch this in the next 15 years, I would definitely want them to know that don't care about what anybody has to say. This is your journey. This is your life. Never let anybody get in the way of you making your money, making your dreams happen. Have a moment to yourself if you feel some type of way. I want you to feel your feelings, but don't let that hold you down. Feel those feelings, and then the next day, don't let those feelings take you down.
Yeah.
Because I'm raising men, I want them to be strong men, and I want them to respect, women. I want them to be, I want my kids to walk with integrity. So as long as they keep integrity and keep that in mind, then they'll find their way.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. You hear that, boys?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, well, Melissa,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
I wasn't ready exactly at the dot, but we got it going.
You're
And
good.
again, you're more than welcome to come back anytime.
Thank
I'll do a
you.
better job of taking better notes. And
You're okay.
like I end every podcast, Melissa, thank you for writing with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Andy.
And last word of advice, people: you don't choose your. I've been listening to. I came across a website that has villain quotes, and the one that stuck to me was basically on what's going on right now in life with me is, you don't choose your family, but you choose your friends. Melissa, talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.